Hello, lovely. I am here to answer a question that I've been getting since 2019, probably. The question is, why do so many twin flame readers or guides, gurus, teachers, astrologers who specialize in twin flames end up leaving the concept or even fully abandoning their collective? I believe that I was asked this question back in 2019, like before 2020, before everything went down, with my first group of people who had discovered the concept and had discovered me. And at that time, we're watching a lot of readers, and the messages started to come in kind of back to back at a certain point. I can't remember the lady's name. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, was there somebody who was maybe like, um, I can't even because I didn't follow her. Her name was the one everybody mentioned. She was a very popular reader, and from what I understand, she was actually very positive as well. And so it was definitely a gut punch to Twin Flames to lose her because I don't know. I think that she was just a major part of their journey. And if I remember correctly, she was not in union. She was single. And I think single might have been in her name or like a main part of her thing. But it was like for her to walk away actually was jarring. And I had people then come to me kind of asking, why did she do this? And I'm like, I don't know. And I was so new to Twin Flames that I don't think I would have been able to answer this back then the way that I'm about to today. I believe that I actually know exactly why. And I think that there's probably more than one reason, but I want to tell you that the first, most main reason why is that it's very, very challenging and exhausting. So I want you to imagine your worst day as a twin flame. Just think about what was your mood, what was your demeanor. Did you go out and be around family or friends? Could you even make it to work that day? And what I will say is for most people on the twin flame journey, when they think about their worst day, they would not want anyone who knows them to know that that's what they were having a bad day about. Okay. And they probably avoided people. But guess who they did call? Maybe their favorite reader or another twin flame that they knew would understand. Now, imagine if 1,000 people did that every year to one person. So think about waking up every single day, meeting people at their worst, at their lowest. And it might not even be like they're just a messed up person. No, maybe they're legitimately just having a bad day. I'm not even talking about people who are having a bad week, month, or year, right? But just imagine 1,000 bad day phone calls every year. Every day you talk to two or three people who are just having the worst day and they want to come and they need to dump it or vent or ask you, why is this happening to me or whatever. And really, the only answer that would be acceptable to make them feel better is, hey, your person's going to show up tomorrow and come save you, or they're going to call, or, whatever. And imagine also if you're intuitive enough, maybe knowing that that's not true. Like you can't give them that answer. Or if you did, you'd be lying to them. That's just a very base level experience for a twin flame reader, even one who is generally very positive. So, if you want to know why someone would give up on being in this place, it's probably because they can't handle it. And I'm not saying that like, this journey's not for the weak, so you must be weak. No, I mean like genuinely, no one should really be in that place. I think it takes a certain type of person to even be a good therapist, right? To go to school, learn all the things, understand your treatment efforts and what you can do to help someone, and then to live that life. Most people know that back in the day they were called shrinks, right? Most people kind of thought of if you're into psychology, you're probably weird. And if you've been doing this for a really long time, you've got to be a little bit kooky. Why? Because I think an average person trying to deal with all the things a therapist or a psychologist might face, it's not for the weak. And the same thing happens with twin flames, but I do think that there's a little difference here. And this is kind of the next step down as to why someone might leave. Remember how I mentioned that the only thing on that bad day, and again, we're just talking about if someone's having a bad day. We're not talking about a bad journey even. I'm just having a tough time person, right? If you know that the only thing that would really make that person feel better is a hug from their person or getting into union or having some sort of contact, then what might end up happening is that over the course of a year, let's say, you might hear from that person once a month. And every time you talk to them, there's no change, there's no nothing. And I think if you're okay to be a listening ear, maybe that would be fine. But no, the truth is, after a while, anyone listening to someone in the twin flame space would start to develop pain right along with them because it's like, I don't want you to feel that way. I don't want you to think that way. I don't want you to say some of the things that you're saying about, life and because of this person. And so imagine if you're not equipped, on top of the fact that most people can't handle that level of pressure, but if you're also not equipped to just hold someone's hand through emptiness and pain and loss, and if you don't know how to do that, or if it's just not in your gifting, well, now you've got even more weight on your shoulders, and now you've got guilt too because you really want to help but you know that you can't. And so I will say that the first and easiest answer, if you ever have a reader, or again, anybody who has even like a page, if they have a group, if they ever shut it down, it's probably because they realized that what they were doing was either more harm than good, or they could not handle the constant inflow of new people with the same problem where there is no solution. I, as a reader, cannot make your person come home. So I can't provide you the solution that you desire. Now, I have clients that have said, hey, help me build a business, help me work through some of my mental health stuff and help me understand my person's mental health stuff. There's all kinds of stuff that I can help people with that can make their journey lighter, easier, whatever. But the ultimate solution for all the core problems of twin flames has been deemed to be reunion. And now we're getting into a territory of controlling someone else's energy, and that's just not possible. And so I want to encourage you, if you've ever felt like you were burdensome or something, like if you ever felt that you were creating a heavy energy in this space, just know this whole energy, the whole space is like that. If you've ever been having a bad day and you left some comments or, don't worry about it. Everybody does. But if you've ever wondered why someone couldn't handle it and you maybe took it onto yourself, like, did I do something wrong? Or no, you were just another person who they couldn't really, really help. And for me as a coach, it has been one of the most devastating aspects of being on this journey alongside my friends, alongside my tribe, my collective, my subscribers, my viewers. Like, that's my thing. I can find solutions to anything, but I cannot manifest your person for you, and you cannot manifest on their behalf. So I do think there are other reasons why readers, guides, gurus, whatever, leave. Sometimes you got to think about it like this. Some people, they're not cut out to do social media, so they dip. Like, that's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people realize that they shouldn't be giving advice. And that's really noble of them to say, you know what, I'm going to step away because I don't want to make people's lives worse. Some people decide that, oh, I started as a reader, but now I want to do astrology. And so they just go another way. Some people also just don't want to be tied to this small group because spirituality in general, new age in general, is very broad, right? The woo woo space in general is very broad. There's so much that you can do. But when you decide to go into the twin flame world or the twin flame niche or the twin flame algorithm, and you think about the way that algorithms, and even think about like how Hollywood works now and reality TV, we don't unless you want to watch the Hallmark Channel. And even then, the Hallmark Channel still has problems and drama a little bit, right? But unless you're going to watch something like that, pretty much every other thing you can look at in this world is dramatic because that's what sells, right? It has to seduce in some way. That's what sells. And so I think that there are just some people who they don't want to be a part of what Twin Flames ultimately becomes because it's being taken over by algorithms who just want you to keep watching and watching and watching. They don't ever want you to leave YouTube. And that's if you weren't into Twin Flames but you were into something else, guess what? That algorithm would do the same thing to you. It's not different in the 3D. Now in the 5D that is a huge problem. But in the 3D it's just it is what it is, you know? And so there are all kinds of reasons why someone might say, I can't really do just this for the rest of my life. I'm not really helping anybody. I'm not really changing anybody's life. I'm not really making any headway. There's no answers that I've found that I can provide to people. And the things that I do want to talk about, now I have to push them down, 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 down. Because if it's not like twin flame, soulmate, even like reunion related, DM related, if it's not something like that and you try to talk about it, the anxiety in the average twin flame viewer, not like a high level divine feminine who's maybe been around for a while or has figured things out, or even someone who grew up in the spiritual space and so they know how to ground themselves with concepts and different energies. But a lot of people who've discovered twin flames never had seen a tarot reading before, never knew anything about spirituality. Um, they barely know astrology. Like, I'm just being real. When I think about the thousands of clients I have all over the world, at least half of them, the only reason they're even in what would be considered the new age world is because it was the only place they could get answers. And I don't condemn anybody for anything that I'm talking about today. If you started a channel and you quit or you didn't quit or you still, who cares, right? Like, if you found twin flames and you knew tarot or you didn't know tarot, I'm not judging you. That really matters to me. But I'm a person that looks at everything and says, you know what, that's probably pretty hard. And I think it's really, really hard for anyone to essentially do like spiritual counseling. And sometimes you end up getting a lot more people in your sphere than you were expecting. And suddenly you have a task, a job, some expectation placed on you that maybe you didn't know was going to be on you. How many readers start a channel and realize they're going to end up with thousands of people that want to talk to them every day? Like how most people don't expect that, right? They just want to help or they just want to share their insights, especially in the spiritual space. The spiritual journey is often very self focused. And so they're really just there to do things for themselves, right? I think in a way that feels like self love, not in like a self centered way. And so if you ever have been confused at where did somebody go or what happened or why did they stop posting, or I think the real question is, why did they leave twin flames to go do regular stuff? And it's because twin flames is very, very limiting for someone who's trying to live a life in this space. So if somebody just started a channel and they've got a job and they've got a family and they just do this as a hobby and they get popular, well, now they've got some choices to make, right? Do I quit my whole life basically to go throw myself into this, or do I keep it at arm's length, or do I quit because it's just getting to be too much? I think that that is something we should all consider, is that everybody has access to a phone, or everybody that does have access to a phone that's a smartphone can then download YouTube or TikTok or whatever, press record and have a channel and possibly go viral and end up with a lot of people watching. And most people do not prepare for what happens after they press record. So don't feel bad. And I also hope don't maybe judge anybody, but just reflect on what would it be like for you if suddenly you were being bombarded and overwhelmed by people saying things like, I don't even want to be here anymore. Because that's what my ministry has been about. About once a month, I help someone, and sometimes I can't help them. About once a year, that happens. And so, gonna have to put a trigger warning on this. I didn't think I would go that direction, but it's true. So I guess if you were curious about this because you were just curious, I think I probably answered your question and gave you some perspective. If you were curious about this because you're wanting to figure out how do you serve the Twin Flame Collective without losing yourself, I would say start 2 channels and be prepared to abandon the Twin Flame channel if you need to. And I say that as frankly as I can because I can't abandon my Twin Flame channel. I can't. Not yet. Mm-mm. There are too many people on the edge. And I started my ministry so that I could be sitting on that edge. If you ever notice that I'm a little weird and my readings aren't like anybody else's, and yeah, they might be accurate, but is that coaching she's doing? And there's all this different stuff in there. And that's because I live on the fringes of the new age and the twin flame world. I live on the fringes of spirituality. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to dive in deeper to prove myself. My readings speak for themselves. My advice speaks for itself. But I will say that there are a lot of people who twin flames can bring to the edge. And that, my friends, is something that I think most readers don't want to talk about because look at how it made me even realize like, whoop, and now I got to put a warning and right. But imagine that just happening once, not once a month like I have experienced, but just once in your life where someone comes in and they say something along the lines of like, I don't want to be here anymore because this journey is too hard. Now you've got a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. I want all of us to be able to understand that every guide and guru and teacher and whoever anyone might be has a responsibility to their tribe, right? To their people. And some people are meant to be with twin flames for a lifetime, some for a long season, some for a short season. I know I've always said my work with twin flames will be for a long season. But if someone started with a short season and they weren't obviously just like a grifter, because I admitted there could be people who come into the twin flame space and they see it as a way to grow their channel and then do a bait and switch. And that happens with any topic you can think of, okay? Um, but I feel like you probably would have noticed in their energy that they were shady, right? But if it's someone who you genuinely loved and maybe you really missed their messages and their readings and all of that, I would say give them a little bit of grace and know that they did the best with the time that they were ordained, perhaps anointed to be in the space they were in. Appreciate what they were able to offer you and ask yourself, from knowing them as long as you did, what else are they good at? And send them good vibes towards those things because I think we all have our reasons for staying and we all have our reasons for leaving. And one of the things that I have always tried to be really respectful of, especially like if someone's like, I'm going to leave the twin flame journey, it's like, okay. Because I believe that you can't mess that up. Just like I believe you can't mess up your life's purpose or your life's work. And so if they're meant to step away, then I like to believe that it was divinely ordained. And I know it can be hard if you've developed a parasocial relationship with them where they're kind of your friend. But I do think that taking the time to say, I wonder how hard this has been on them. I wonder if there was a reason that they felt like they had to go. I wonder what they might have faced. What have I seen in their chats, in their readings, in their comments? What have I seen around me in this space that might make someone say, I just can't do this anymore? And I think that will give you so much more insight than, I don't know, maybe speculating or even like, oh, they must not be able to hang. Like, I don't really like thinking like that. I think that it just opens up lines for like abuse. And I want to see more of us thrive. I would like to think that the more people that leave the twin flame space, the more people it opens up room and space for, right? So if you've been thinking about starting a twin flame ministry, keep these things in mind. And if you are missing anyone, send them some good vibes because if they quit, they probably needed it, okay? All right, I love you. I'll talk to you later. Peace.